Now, quite regularly I run into one common misconception about history or studying history. Namely that people think it's all about remembering dates or knowing dates. And this is actually completely wrong, and I think the culprit in this case are bad history teachers. And the thing is, history is not about data points like dates, it's about relationships, development and processes. Or to put it another way, it's about causality. And causality is the relationship between cause and effect. And both cause and effect can be abstracted as events. So basically, history is about the relationship of events. And there's a certain logic to them. I mean, the First World War comes before the Second World War, for instance. And so you don't have certain data points to remember, you have actually a relationship. And also our brains are way better in processing and remembering relationships and certain models than just simple data points. I mean, the only people that care about simple data points are bad teachers and encyclopedias. And the second we basically have now Wikipedia for or databases. So, and I personally, I had probably 20 to 30 oral exams at university and several, of course, written ones. And I can only remember one specific instance where I ever was asked for a certain date, and it was only a year. And it was a lecture about Kirchengeschichte im Mittelalter, church history in medieval times. And I was asked, I think, about the Concile of Constance, when it was. And I answered it, and I also noted the following concil's years. And the professor cut me off and interrupted me and he said, the first one was sufficient. So I can only speak for my university, but I also met some other history students. So nobody really cares too much about certain dates or years. I mean, and also they come actually naturally. I remember basically when I started learning for an exam, usually 1/3 of all the dates I already had in my brain. 1/3 I needed to learn up a bit, and 1/3 were rather new, but also there's this relationship. You know, for instance, okay, they say the Battle of Verdun. You know, the First World War started in 1914 and it ended in 1918. And you know, Verdun wasn't in the first year and it wasn't in the last year. So it gets rather short and then everything comes natural. And this is the main thing about history. It's about understanding the development and processes and how everything turned out the way it did. And not about X happened on that point and Z happened here and there. Because let's be honest, nobody cares about this because it's completely useless information. If there's no relationship, if there's no understanding, it's useless. Why? I mean, you can read a Wikipedia article just with the data and no relationships and explanation. I think it's useless. I also don't know how high the highest mountain in Austria is, for instance, because for me it's irrelevant information. And this is also reflected to a certain degree in my videos. I care about what is important and what I think is relevant. This is, for instance, the reason why I usually don't use names except for very famous or well-known people, like the leaders like Roosevelt, Hitler, Churchill, Stalin. Because, yeah, everybody more or less knows about them. But for instance, for certain generals, I usually go with the functionality. Chief of the General Staff. Commander-in-Chief of this and this force. Because you don't need the person's name usually. You need, okay, this guy assessed, the Chief of the General Staff assessed the following. This is more relevant than, yeah, brauche ich, assume, blah. Sometimes I combine both, but the important part is Chief of the General Staff. And there are a few exceptions for very famous people like Guderian. Most people should know that he is the founder of the German Panzerwaffe, for instance. And this also comes down to dates. For me, it's important that you know Barbarossa happened in 1941 because it happened after the Battle of France in 1940. So if you know summer 1941, hey, that's good. June 1941, excellent. But any more detail? It's not really that necessary, except you go for anniversary dates. But let's be honest, you look them up or you set a reminder in your calendar nowadays. I don't think this level of detail is necessary for understanding. Of course, if you're really into this stuff, it can make sense. And at certain points, even the time might be important because of the weather and the atmospheric conditions. Then the specific time might be important for a battle, but you could also say very early in the morning or it was dark, which is easier to remember than like, I don't know, 5:35 or I don't know whenever they attacked. So this is keep information to the necessary important stuff that can be remembered. Hope you liked this one. Thank you for watching and see you next time.